This is Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina with our Sunday night live stream fishing show. That's right, our Sunday night live stream show is happening now. Hopefully, y'all are ready for a great show. It is Sunday, May 5th, and we're ready to start here shortly. Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Hubbard's Marina has been fishing local waters for over 90 years and 4 generations, and we're still hard at it. We got lots of great show lined up for you tonight, guys. Hopefully, y'all are ready for a good time, and we're looking forward to spending Sunday night with you guys. So we got a great show lined up, lots of cool information, videos, tips, tricks, and more. So sit back, relax, and get ready. We're going to be starting here very shortly with lots of fishing report info. We're going to talk about what's coming up at Hubbard's Marina. We're going to talk about what's been going on, what we've been catching, and more. So stay tuned here, guys. We're going to get started here shortly. We just need a few minutes to get everything rolling. And we'll go ahead and start in just a few moments. I appreciate your patience as we get started tonight. So lots of cool information to go over. And we got a great show lined up. Looking forward to spending our Sunday night with y'all. We are having a little bit of problems seeing the Facebook comments right now. But we'll get this sorted out for you all shortly. That way we can make sure we stay tuned. And there we go. That's a good way to see the comments. When in doubt, pull out your phone. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been catching. We're going to give away some free fishing trips. And we're going to show you some great videos. So we got lots of cool stuff lined up. This week has been great. We started our thing with Fox 13. So Fox 13 has been doing our fishing reports, and that's going to happen every single Friday at 8:30 a.m. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So hopefully you guys are ready for a good show. Make sure to comment where you're watching from. Share this video with friends. Don't forget to tell your friends and like the video stream. Subscribe to us on YouTube. All that good stuff, guys. Help us out and help us to spread the word. I know I'm ready for a good show, and I'm looking forward to spending an hour with you guys talking fishing. We got lots of cool videos and photos to share with y'all, and we got some really funny information for sure. So gonna be a great show tonight, guys. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Share it to your timeline. Share it to your favorite fishing club, whatever you do, wherever you go, wherever your friends might check it out. Help us out. Share the video stream. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're getting geared up here for red snapper season. That's around the corner. We got gag grouper season coming up. We're going to talk about all that stuff and all the great fish we're planning to catch. Who's coming out for red snapper season? Who's excited to catch a big old red snapper and take it home? I know I am. I'm excited to just catch them and put them in the box. You guys can take them home. I'm not so worried about that. But it will be good, that's for sure. Huh. I'm not able to share the video for some reason. Keep in mind, guys, we're going to give away a 5-hour half day for 2 people today. We're going to give away a 10-hour all day for 2 people tonight. And if we get up to 300 live viewers at one time, we're going to give away a 39-hour fishing trip too. So definitely some cool stuff going on. And some good plans for you guys tonight. So make sure you share the video with friends. More people that watch, the greater the chances we'll hit that 300 people mark, and that will start us giving away that 39-hour fishing trip. So make sure to share going on, and that way we can give away a 39-hour fishing trip to someone, because I definitely want to do that. And hopefully you guys want to win one, because we have great 39-hour fishing trips. And we're going to show you a little bit about those trips here shortly. So just fixing our issue not seeing your comments. And once we get this situation solved, then we're going to go ahead and get started. So give us a few seconds here. Nothing like a little bit of troubleshooting to start off the video right. You know what I mean? Oh, don't want to close that. All right, so who's ready to win some free trips? Wait till you see these videos we have tonight too, guys. There are some good ones lined up. All right, so let's get right into this thing. How y'all doing tonight? Hopefully everybody's having a good night. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all spending your Sunday night with me, and I look forward to talking to you all a little bit about what we've been catching. Let's go right into this and show you some photos from our 39-hour fishing trip, and show you what's been going on out there on that 39-hour. They came in this morning, and they caught some nice fish, definitely, for sure. So this is Captain Garrett's son, Rhett, excuse me, for those of y'all who don't know him. He was out fishing with his dad on this 39-hour trip, and he was hanging out. This is a mackerel we caught on the way out. The mackerel haven't been really along the beaches too much, but this weekend and the past couple days, we've definitely been seeing the mackerel show back up. On these 39-hour trips, we use those mackerel for bait, and then we throw those kingfish in a different cooler and keep those to take home for the smoker. We are seeing the mutton snapper. We've been catching a mutton snapper here and there on most every 39-hour trip, which has been really, really cool. So a great mutton snapper there on this recent 39-hour too. Some big mangrove snapper. Definitely been seeing some of those guys. Monster vermilion lately. Just crazy big vermilion. Always a good time. Nice big catch and release gag grouper. Wait till you see the gag that we caught today on the 12-hour extreme. Of course, the ever-present red snapper that we had to run away from was out there in force. And then here is Rhett's little brother, Reese. This is Garrett's younger son showing off his porgy. These boys have grown up on the Florida Fishermen. Rhett and Reese actually both used to go out with their father, Garrett, when they were just a couple months old. So it's really cool to see Reese stepping up to these 39-hour trips. You can see he's got his glove on. He actually unhooks a lot of the fish and baits his own hook, that kind of thing. And then they also spent some time inside watching movies together. So had to share these photos too. Captain Garrett's a good dude and a great father, and his boys are lucky to be growing up on that boat for sure. I remember doing that myself, and I am very envious that Garrett gets to share it with his boys, and I won't be far behind, luckily. Here's Richie and Will showing off a nice red grouper from that 39-hour trip. Tony Holoko with a big mangrove snapper. Look at the size of these things, man. These rock hinds were super present. We got a crazy variety on this 39-hour trip, as you guys are going to see. Look at the size of that thing. These are some of the best eaten fish that you can find out there. Definitely in my top 5 favorite eaten fish. Big mangrove snappers. Lots of big mangrove snappers. Some red hinds or strawberry grouper. Nice mangrove snapper. Look at that fat mangrove. Big amberjack caught and released. Some nice gags. Here's a trolling setup. This is our Rapala X-Rap Magnum 30. I love that Rapala X-Rap Magnum 30. That's a green sardine, I'm pretty sure. Or a green mackerel, excuse me. Great bait. Good trolling lure for the tuna. The trolling hasn't been all that great though. We've been catching mostly bonita, a blackfin tuna here or there, kingfish here or there. Nearshore, we've been catching a mackerel, the bonita, and then the occasional kingfish. But most of the tuna action, most of the big kingfish action has all been on the flat lines. And we're going to hear more about that in the video here coming up. This is a Creole fish or Creole snapper. We caught a ton of these on the 39-hour trip this weekend. One guy had like 10 of them on his stringer. Believe it or not, pretty unique fish to catch in bulk like that. Here's a good example right here of Will showing off a knocker rig. This is a super heavy knocker rig because that new moon current was running pretty strong. But he's got his 2 hooks and his egg sinker on the main line. That sinker is supposed to move up and down the main line. Typically, you want to use the lightest weight possible. In this case, because the current was running super strong, he's using a 3-ounce lead. But that's an example of a knocker rig setup with that thread fin. Now, if it was me, I would have turned that thread fin around. That way that head was facing the weight. That way, as that weight dragged it to the bottom, it would be less likely to spin my line up. So that would be something I would have changed with that rig. But Will was just doing this for an example. You can see that line wasn't even hooked to a rod. He was just using it as an example for Bob. Probably why as well he had such a heavy weight on it. But there's Richie with the nice big old trigger fish. We got some big triggers on that 39-hour. Dr. Tony Holoko with the monster blackfin tuna. Just a beautiful fish. There's the pile of fish. You can see the red hinds, the rock hinds, the almacos, the triggers, the porgies, the mangroves, the vermilions, the creoles. They got a little bit of everything in there. Razor fish. We got a bunch of these razor fish too, or squirrel fish. Their technical name is squirrel fish, but most everybody calls them a razor fish because of these gill plates. And they also have another gill plate on the edge of their gill that'll just totally slice you open like a surgical knife. There's an almaco jack. We got a lot of almaco jacks, and we had a great bite of the almacos, so that was a great bonus. Here's Bob Harbison. For those of you who don't know this jokester, he's the guy who does all those photos and videos for us for our YouTube channel. There's a photo of the box showing the diversity on this 39-hour trip with the rock hinds, the almacos, the rudder fish, the lane snapper, mangroves, vermilion, creoles, little bit of everything. Not a lot of grouper on this trip. They caught a couple scamp grouper, they caught a couple red grouper, but not a lot of them. Those mackerel, I included these photos because it shows you those mackerel are definitely coming back. Doesn't really do anything for our 39-hour trip except for provide great bait. But for our half-day trips, our 10 hours, that's a good sign. Some kingfish action on the way out. Again, the trolling hasn't been all that great, but we are seeing the occasional kingfish as well. Here's Garrett and his sons on the way in watching that sunset. Those boys love helping their dad clean the boat. Reese, the youngest son, will get neck deep in a bucket of bleach trying to help scrub the boat. I think he enjoys getting more of it on himself than actually on the boat, but hey. So we're going to watch a video here with John talking about that 39-hour trip. John Martin, our fishing coach, is going to tell us a little bit more about that 39-hour trip. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Captain Dylan. How are you, my friend?
Good, man. How was your trip?
Well, first of all, as you can probably see from my face, it was bright sunny out there, man. I don't need a nurse. I'm doing pretty good. But the fishing was good throughout. It started out a bit slow, but it more than made up for it during the day. At first at night, we were catching some mangoes. I actually caught the smallest mango I think I have ever seen out there, about 4 inches. And but I let him go. He's healthy and ready to go. But the fishing at night was, as I say, a bit sporadic. But come morning, Captain Garrett Hubbard, he stayed in that area for a little while, and then once we got past sunup, he made about an hour run to another area, a little bit deeper water, and we had one of the best day bites I've seen in a while. Every stop, it wasn't like at night when the mangoes are super hot sometimes, but they were real steady. One spot I caught 6 nice goozers in a row, 6 straight baits, 6 straight mangoes. So that's pretty good fishing there. Gags were coming up, of course. I caught a couple of nice ones. I got broke off several times using my 40-pound test. So that looks good for the future come June 1st. Big red snapper, definitely hungry and definitely out there. So we're going to go back and get them come June 1st. I told a few of them, I let them go and I said, I'll see you soon. But the mango fishing was real steady during the day. There were a few decent scamps caught as well. I caught one. There were big beeliners, big vermilion snapper coming up right and left. Some triggers, not that many, but a few. But the ones they were catching were pretty much all legal. There were a few red grouper caught, that were keepers, not that many. It's been a bit sporadic as well. There were a couple of tuna, one real nice tuna towards the very end of the trips, and I got a really good video of it, so you can stay tuned for that. You'll see the whole fight and coming up in the water column and everything else, and the excitement that people have when they see a big fish like that swimming out there. But overall, it was a very solid trip. As I say, the mangoes chewed all throughout the day, which I can tell you, going back to my commercial fishing days, is unusual. We used to sleep through the heat of the day and fish the sunset into the night. But we would keep fishing if they were biting, and that would have been one of those days where we'd have fished round the clock because they steady bit.
And that seemed to be true of a lot of new moons, where the night bite's a little slower, the day bite seems to be a lot better.
Yeah, I think that the moon does trigger them. There's still a lot about fishing that we don't know. We think we know all of it. We've got all these electronic gizmos now that literally show what the fish should look like and his sister next to him and everything else. But there's still a lot about Mother Nature that we don't know. And I firmly believe that the moon and the barometer and all that have a major impact on them. You might wonder how the moon affects them during the day, but it does. I don't pretend to know. I just know that it does. And I go with it. I don't wonder about, I don't ask the question too much. As long as they're biting, I really don't care what's causing it.
Amen to that. Any tips or tricks you could share with the people watching?
Well, I would tell you to get ready for grouper season when it's coming up, and red snapper. Personally, once gag season opens up, I don't go below 60-pound line, even for mangoes. Now, you may sacrifice a few bites, but you definitely have a shot at getting a big gag on 60 pound. I can tell you 40 pound, let alone anything less. If that gag is is anywhere near 20 pounds, you'll be very lucky to get him in with that kind of test. 60 pound at least gives you a chance. Now, when I'm targeting the gags, I actually use 80 to 100 pretty much all the time. And if I put a really big, like what I call a big pinfish, is one that's the size of your hand. If I put one of them down there, I'm not going with anything less than 100 myself.
Yeah, good tips for sure. All right, John, well, you have a safe drive home up to Hawthorne, and thanks for the video.
Oh, and one other, can I say one more quick thing? You can look for my fishing reports. I do give tips in there. I talk about writing it from a fisherman's perspective. But if you have a specific question you want to ask me, just message me either on my Facebook page or put it in the column under the report, and I will definitely get back to you.
All right, man. Thanks, John.
All right.
All right, so that was John talking a little bit about that 39-hour trip. Now let's talk to Will and Jason, or Will and Richie, excuse me, about their 39-hour trip and how Will thought that trip was. All right. What's going on, Will?
Not much, just getting done filleting fish.
Yeah.
Had a pile of them today.
Yeah, you've been filleting fish for a while now.
Yeah, we had a lot of those big mangroves, the big vermilions, porgies, triggerfish, a variety.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I saw those creoles and those rock hinds, strawberry grouper. You got everything.
Everything. A guy had his limit of bar jacks or Almaco jacks. Lots of those creole. A guy probably had 10 or 12 of those creoles. A good variety of fish. They were biting steady throughout the night, but the bite was better in the daytime. We did good in the daytime and great in the later afternoon. A lot of times that's the worst time of fishing, but we were catching big mangroves in the middle of the day. You guys will see on Bob's video too. But biting on the bottom, thread fins. They didn't bite the pinfish too much, which that changes week to week, but this trip they were mainly dead bait, and did some flatline and live bait on the flatlines, and had a big king up to the boat and got about a 30-pound tuna.
Nice. Now I saw I from you and John both, it seems like that night bite was a little slow. Does that have to do a lot with the new moon? That's what I think.
Yeah, that could have to do with the new moon and the way they were biting in the daytime. Yeah, it made sense, that they didn't bite at night. So it really wasn't bad at night. It was, you caught fish at night, but the daytime was much better. Like we had a couple guys have close to their limit of snappers at night, and then the daytime just wailed on them and were throwing them back and stuff.
So it worked out well. Mm-hmm. Good variety, good trip. Any tips?
This trip, we didn't have people doing it. Garrett tried to knocker rig a couple times and caught nice fish on the knocker rig. And bring a flatline rod. We don't have enough guys flatlining or knocker rigging right now for those big snappers. We caught about a 6-pound mangrove on a flatline this trip.
Wow.
In 140 feet, and he came up and ate that thing and spit out about a pound of tails when he came up. So he was eating.
He was up in the water column.
Yeah.
Now that flatline and that knocker rig fishing, that's a great technique to use this time of year because it's a lighter load, but you can't really get away with that in June and July.
Yeah, once it gets real busy, it is much harder to put out a flat line. Maybe one guy on the stern can get one out if you got the current going, or two guys if the current's going right. But the fish are biting, you're trying to maintain your bottom rod too, so it's hard to fish two rods.
Yeah.
Willis will tell you that.
So it's definitely a great time of year right now. I mean, you only had, 20 guests on this trip?
Yeah, we had 20, and then the people on the sides, there's like 10 people on the stern, 2 or 3 of them took off and went up and fished the side of the boat, and then the people on the sides all spread out, and there were virtually no tangles this trip, and everybody got to do what they wanted to do, kind of.
Boats licensed for 120, 78 rod holders, and you had 20 people fishing.
Yeah, and it's looking like that throughout the rest of this month. We got relatively light trips.
Yeah, we have a Tuesday trip coming up. I think it only has 16 people on it. So.
Yeah, and you can catch almost as much or just as much fish not during red snapper season as you can during red snapper season, but got the big gag groupers coming in and stuff like that. So
yeah, and in red snapper season, you're going to have a sold out trip compared to right now where you have 17, 20, 25 people at most.
Yeah, we had some guys talking about that this trip. That's why they were here, is because they're going to make one trip maybe during red snapper season, but they want to get one in before too, because they know it's not going to be busy right now.
Yeah, good point, man. Well, you have a good day. We'll go get some sleep.
All right, dude, do the same.
All right, so a lot of you guys are asking some really great questions in the comments. If you ask a question in the comments, I'm trying to write it down while we're watching these videos, and then towards the end of the show, I'll answer your questions right here. So don't think we're ignoring your questions. We're definitely going to get around towards them to answering them at the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll make sure to answer all your questions that you're leaving in the comments. Also, don't forget, we're going to give away those free trips at some point during the show. You do have to be present watching the show to claim your free trip. So make sure that you're watching when I say who wins the free trips. Then you have to shoot us a message with your home address and your phone number within a couple hours, and we'll mail you out those free trips. So make sure you stay tuned to the show. In order to be eligible to win those free trips, you do have to comment on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. That means go to facebook.com, search for the Hubbard's Marina page, find our logo, the logo I'm wearing right here, and then click on our page, scroll down, find that live stream video, leave a comment, and you're good to go. You're entered to win. It doesn't matter if you leave one comment or 1,000 comments, you're still as eligible to win, because we filter out duplicative comments. I like that word, duplicative. I'm very verbose. All right, so let's look at some 5 and 10 hour trip photos. On the 5 and 10 hour trips, we're definitely starting to see those mackerel again, which is a great sign. That water's starting to clear up a little bit for us behind all those crazy fronts. And Smokey stole Will's bamboo rod and did some fishing with it. So here's Smokey catching a fish on that bamboo rod that Will had made on that 39-hour trip recently. Just a bamboo stick, some duct tape, zip line, and some broken fishing eyes. There's a big barracuda from today's 10-hour trip. Now, if you weren't paying attention to our morning videos, we do a morning video every morning talking about fishing and weather and what's been going on. The last couple days, we've been talking about how great the weather has been and how great the weather will be this week. And we've had some people join us today, and they were calling for 1.7 foot seas to be exact, and about 10 knot winds. Well, it ended up being close to almost, it was 5 foot seas and closer to like 30, 40 knot winds. And then we had this huge storm come at us too. So not only did it go from being flat calm to all of a sudden very rough, nearly 3 to 4 times stronger wind and waves than they were forecasting. But then we had a huge storm with tornado warnings, water spouts, and a lot of lightning in them. And luckily, all the boats were able to make it back to the dock safely and expeditiously. And they even caught some fish. And we took really, really good care to make sure everybody left as happy as they could with those cut short trips. So this angler not only had a great morning on the water, but then she caught a nice big barracuda. And we're going to talk to Joe, Smokey, and Seabass and watch a video of those guys. They're going to talk a little bit more about that weather. So I don't want to give too much away now, but I did want to mention that story behind that big barracuda. Here's Captain Anthony showing off a monster flounder from a Flying Hub 2 5-hour private charter recently. Nice big old porgy caught on the 10-hour all day. The red grouper, this isn't a monster red grouper, but it's a keeper-sized red grouper from the 10-hour all day. The last couple months, we really haven't been seeing any 10-hour any keeper grouper on that 10-hour all day, just because in the early part of the year, those red grouper are spawning out in deep water. They have that deep water closure on red grouper, and we don't see a lot of them near shore that time of year. Luckily, the water's starting to warm up. It seems like those red grouper are starting to come back in a little bit for us. We're starting to get a good bite of red grouper from around 90 to about 110, 120 foot of water. Now, they aren't super huge like the ones we catch on our 39-hour or 12-hour extreme or the Flying Hub 1 and Flying Hub 2 private charters, but that's a pretty nice red grouper for a 10-hour all day. And we're seeing some of those kingfish and lots of other great variety mixed in there. And overall, it's been great fishing on our 5 and 10-hour trips. Now, we're going to watch a quick video here from the guys, Smokey, Joe, and Seabass. And they're going to talk a little bit more about that weather today. And then we're going to show you some photos and a quick video I'm going to show you this video first. Let me get this thing queued up here. This is crazy. All right. So this, basically the storm rolled in, the boats, at this point, the Florida was back at the dock, the Hub was back at the dock, the Friendly was only a couple miles from shore, and the Flying Hub 2 was still about 50 miles from shore at this point in the video. So let me show you this real quick. This is crazy. Man, look at that lightning bolt. It just cracked right there on the other side of the bridge. Watch right here on this side of the screen. It was too late. I didn't click back far enough. There it is. See that? Whoa. I wonder if I could catch it. There it is. There's that lightning bolt. Looks like it literally hit on the other side of John's Pass Bridge out there on the jetty. So crazy storm today, and totally not forecasted. Totally 2 days ago the weather looked perfect for today, then yesterday it looked like it was gonna be pretty rainy, nasty today, but this morning when we woke up they were calling 40% chance of rain and beautiful conditions here is the weather forecast. I took a picture of it because it was just so unbelievable. I've never seen this before. This red line is the forecasted sea or wave height. This is forecasted wave height. So wave height was forecasted to be about 1.5, 1.7, 2 foot, and then climbing up to around 3 foot by tonight. Well, it ended up going straight up. This blue line is what the waves were actually doing. So the waves actually were literally almost 3 times higher than what was forecasted. And this was the storm that developed out of nowhere. And that thing, you can see that arrow pointing right at St. Pete. That thing came in, and this red right here is what that video was from. So pretty crazy weather kind of popped out of nowhere on us, but luckily our experienced captains and crew got those boats back to the dock quickly and safely, and everybody left as happy as could be. So good stuff.
All right, guys, how y'all doing?
Good. All right.
Had to chase these 3 out of the bar and get them a.
Now, this is after the trip got back and everybody was back to the dock safely. The storm had passed. These guys were celebrating after a hard day.
All right, guys, how y'all doing?
Good. All right.
Had to chase these 3 out of the bar and get them to talk to y'all. But how you guys doing today as far as the weather's concerned? Pretty crazy out there, huh?
Yeah, today was well.
They were calling what, like 1 foot seas,
1.7.
1.7 foot seas, and 10 knot winds. And what was it like?
Gusting 35, 4 foot, 5 foot seas.
It was like perfect storm.
Yeah, it was crazy.
As bad as it gets here in the pass, that's about how it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It was pretty nasty out there. So now they're all off work celebrating.
Yeah, we made
We
storm
made it
party.
back.
As far as the fishing goes, though, Smokey, you had some kingfish fired up before you had to come in?
It was firing off. I got 4 kings and a cuda in like 30 minutes probably.
Oh, yeah? On the
I didn't want to
flat line?
leave. I didn't want to leave. I was having a hard time leaving.
Radar was blowed up,
Yeah.
lightning, tornado warning. Smokey still wanted to fish, huh?
Yeah.
You were getting them on the flat line?
Got him on a.
Now, I don't know if you guys caught that, but as the storm was bearing down on the boats, and I'm calling them on the sap phones, telling them to get home and quit fishing, the bite turned on. The kingfish were going nuts all around the boat, and Smokey didn't want to come back. But unfortunately, fortunately, he got overruled.
Flatline on cigar minnows.
Live cigar minnows?
Yep, live cigar minnows.
Nice. And are you still having a problem with that wire, having to use lighter wire, or with the water murking up?
I just always go with the light.
Light
I
wire?
always use the light. 4.
Size 4,
Yep.
44 pounds?
Yep.
Cool. All right, and sea bass, I know you've been working a lot of trips lately. I know you got a 63-hour coming up. You're excited about that?
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Snowies, Kitty Mitchells. What else we got out there? Yellow edge.
Trolling for billfish, too.
Yep,
You ready to
absolutely.
gaff a swordfish?
Yeah, I've been taking notes from Jason. I think we're good.
Don't take notes from Jason. Now, Joe, I know you've been on the Flying Hub, too, fishing out there in that deep water. How's that been?
It's good. Yeah, the last trip I ran last week, we made it out to like 220. The scamp bite was real good. Big scamp, 8, 9, 10 pounders.
10-pound scamp?
Yeah,
Holy
big
moly.
scamp. The red grouper bite was like mediocre. We got a few big ones out there. We shallowed up a little bit and we're getting bigger ones, but the gag bite was what was crazy.
Yeah.
Even though we can't keep them right now, but we stopped on one spot and probably caught 30 head that were all 12 plus pounders.
Isn't it crazy it's crazy to me how gags bite so well in months like these early spring and even late spring months, but then when June rolls around, they shut down until the fall. It really is hard to get a good gag bite in June and July.
Yeah, it is. It's tough, but I'm definitely going back to that area come June 1st because we were catching big red snappers too, 15, 18 pound red snappers along with those gags. And the gags were eating all dead bait too. We weren't even using live bait. They were just stacked up, dude. It was crazy.
What is your favorite bait for gag grouper, Smokey?
The pigfish.
Me too.
Pigfish?
Yeah, the
Me too.
pigfish tail hooks.
Me too.
Tail hooked pigfish.
Yeah.
What's your favorite time of year to get them?
The gag.
Yeah.
New Year's.
New Year's?
Yeah.
Well, they close December 31st.
I know. It starts to get good around Thanksgiving, and then by it's like hot.
I thought
New
you told
Year's.
me one time Thanksgiving was your favorite time to target gags.
That's when it starts.
Ah,
That's
when
when you
it's
start. Yeah.
okay.
September, October, November, December, I think is pretty good. It gets better as the year goes on, but
Any month ending in ER
Right.
is a good time.
A little history on these guys real quick I think you'd find interesting. Smokey over here on the left, he's been working with us for 15, 16, 17 years or so. Pretty much grew up fishing with Smokey. He taught me everything my dad didn't want me to know. Joe over here, Captain Joe over here in the yellow shirt, him and I grew up together fishing on that 39-hour trip. His father and brother used to work on the 39-hour trips. His father worked for my grandfather, his brother worked for my father, and now Joe and I work together. Seabass over here is having a baby coming soon, and him and his wife are going on their honeymoon here shortly. They're looking forward to that, and Seabass has been working for us now for a few years. He's really good at what he does, very addicted to fishing. You're going to see some of his inshore catches here soon. When he's not offshore, he's inshore fishing. So great guys here, a lot of fishing knowledge for sure.
Time for him, but it gets better as it gets later.
yeah,
And January, February, March is killer for him, but you just can't keep them.
yeah.
What about you, Seabass? You agreed? Pretty much same time, same baits?
Yeah.
We had a good
Double
year
hooked,
last
red
year,
fins
though.
worked pretty well last season.
Double threads?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The
That's the double thread is a great bait for red grouper, gag grouper, but the trick with that one is you can get tangled up because
Yeah.
you're spinning, right?
Right.
You got to slow down that descent. Put your thumb really on it.
Our season last year, gag grouper fishing was, I think, pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than the last several years, especially for the overnighters and the 12-hour extreme trips.
The last 2 weeks of gag season last year was insane.
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 I ran it up. I've only ran a few overnighters. The second one I ran, we probably caught 60 head that were all keepers.
Yeah.
So I think this year's going to be as good, if not better.
Yeah, I hope so, man. What
And
about
there's some big ones out there right now, too.
yeah, big gags?
Yeah, Anthony's catching 35, 40 pounders every trip, a few every trip.
Dang. Yeah, there's definitely some big gags going on right now. What about the next couple weeks before red snapper season opens? I know we have some super light loads on the 10 hours. We're only taking 20, 25, 30 people. What would you target out there, Smoke, on those 10 hours right now?
Kingfish.
Whatever's biting.
But it's been kind of a mix. I mean, we've
Yeah.
been seeing the red grouper actually
Yeah.
pick up a little bit. It's still not great, and it's nothing to write home about, but they're definitely picking up.
Yeah.
Been seeing a lot of lanes, a couple mangroves. The hogfish bite was almost non-existent, but it seems to start coming back a little bit.
Yeah.
Been
hub's
seeing a
doing
couple
really
of
well.
them. What?
The hub's doing really well.
The hub murdered
I
the
would
hogs.
knock a rig on the 10-hour trips with shrimp.
Knock a
You
rig.
could catch hogfish or mangoes, anything.
Yeah.
Vermilions, lanes, hogfish, mangoes, all on the knocker rig with shrimp.
Can you explain a knocker rig real quick?
Yeah, it depends on the trip, as far as the wind and the current goes, but the lighter the better, in my opinion. I like using a 1-ounce knocker rig with like a 4-aught hook and a tail hook shrimp. Works great for me, but it depends on the current and the wind. If it's rough out, it's more difficult.
Yeah, and a tail hook shrimp meaning up through the bottom, out the top.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
the weight's right on top of the hook.
And that weight can travel all the way up and down that main line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what kind of rod and reel do you like knocker rigging with?
I like knocking with a spinning rod
Yeah,
or a real light conventional
like a
with
4-aught.
braid with a top shot,
Yeah.
a light top shot like 40 pound or 30 pound 4.0 or something.
How long of a top shot should people use?
On a spinning rod, and a lot of people might not agree with this, but I fished on the overnighters for a long time. On a spinning rod, I only use a top shot. I reel it up till the knot gets to the reel itself, so
Okay.
maybe 10 feet.
10, 15
But on a
feet.
conventional rod, it just depends on how deep you are.
And you kind of get a longer top shot as you get deeper because
Right.
you want more of that shock absorption.
Yep.
Gotcha.
On an all-day fishing like 90 feet, maybe use like a 30-foot top shot.
And it also kind of depends on the number of people on the trip. Like red snapper season, you got to use a longer top shot.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it also helps you with the tangles.
Yep.
Smokey is killing that beer.
He's thirsty.
That rough out there today.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Any parting tips, you guys, before you head back to the bar?
I don't have one.
Joe, you're
I always
Joe,
say
you're good right now.
fishing's good. You know, you got to get out here to get them.
Yep.
If you ain't here, you ain't gonna get them. So
Got to get on the water to catch them.
that's right. Because we're always getting them one way or another.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, you guys have a good day. Thanks for your time.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Well, that was our colorful captain and crew. Great guys. We have such a great team here at Hubbard's Marina. We're super blessed with a great team in the office, great team in the bait area, great team on the boats. Whatever you do with us, our awesome team will definitely take good care of you, keep you safe, and make sure you have a great time while doing it for sure. Here is some 12-hour extreme photos. Now, this first one is epic. This was today. We showed you that monster barracuda. We talked about those big kingfish. Well, this was a 12-hour extreme catch today. Granted, it wasn't able to be kept. But Susan Brittis and her husband came out with us, and Susan and Philip came out with us, and they come out quite a bit on these 12-hour extreme trips. And Susan put the hammer down on this 40-pound, solid 40-pound rusty belly gag. It was awesome to see this nice woman managed to wrestle up such a big gag grouper like this. And definitely we marked this one down, and we're saving it for that gag grouper season coming soon. We got him back in the water and back down to bottom healthy and safe. And her husband went down and caught himself one too. Granted, hers was a lot bigger. Sorry about that, Phil. But look at the size of that thing. It's as big as she is. And there's her husband and his big gag. Now, that's a big gag grouper, too. Probably a solid 25 pounds. But his wife's gag kind of made his look a little bit small. But they got some nice triggerfish out there, and they had to contend with a lot of rain. Here's Mike Murray, another gentleman who does a lot of 12-hour trips with us. He was told to bring rain gear. We asked him to bring rain gear. He said he didn't need it. He didn't want it. And he ended up having to use a trash bag. Nice rain gear, Mike Murray. I hope you're watching. Here is a big keeper red grouper from that 12-hour extreme. Here is Miss Schumann, Rick Schumann's wife, showing off a monster red grouper. All this to say, hopefully you've learned in these last couple of videos, if you bring your wife fishing, she will outfish you. That happened to me on the 12-hour extreme that I took my wife on. We were filming with Salt Strong. We were doing a fishing show for Salt Strong, filming a grouper mastery course. So I'm out there giving away all my grouper fishing tips and tricks and doing a lot of filming, trying to catch big grouper all day long, having a good time. Catch a decent sized grouper, but nothing real monstrous. My wife walks over to the rail and grabs my fishing pole and drops down one bait and catches the biggest grouper, much bigger than anything I had caught all day and anybody else on the boat for that matter. So don't bring your wife fishing. She'll embarrass you. All you ladies out there definitely have a leg up on us for some reason. But some cool news is we want to incorporate more inshore fishing into our live stream show. So we're going to show you what we've been catching inshore and from the Johns Pass jetty and from the beach surf fishing, and we're gonna watch a little video on our inshore fishing report. Now, this is hopefully to get you guys to send us some more inshore fishing photos, because Fox 13 in our Friday Fox 13 show, every Friday around 8:30, 8:40 in the morning, we have a good catch segment on Fox 13's Good Day Tampa Bay with Russell Rhodes. So I'm live filming from Johns Pass at Hubbard's Marina, talking to Russell Rhodes in studio, and we're going to show your photos and your fish that you've caught that past week, and they mainly want to see inshore and nearshore photos. We have a lot of offshore photos, but we don't have a lot of inshore photos. So if you're local, if you're in town from out of town and you catch a big fish or a nice fish inshore, nearshore, shoot me a photo through our website, through my email, which is just CAPT Hubbard at hubbardsmarina.com. Email me your photo, your full name, and what city you're from, and give me some information. Did you catch it on low tide, high tide? What was the tide doing? A little bit of information, and I will include your photo and your fishing report in our Fox 13 segment, plus our weekly Friday email fishing report as well. But here is Seabass. Seabass is one of our first mates. Again, when he's not offshore fishing, he's inshore fishing, catching nice fish. Here's Seabass showing off a nice trout he's been catching from the beach. He was out there one night, caught a bunch of trout and some nice snook as well. And look at that. This is John Sasser with some of his big snook from around John's Pass, using one of those Glad snooker jigs. That's a flare hawk style jig. John Sasser caught these monster snook. The incoming tide at night has been the good bite of snook, and trout as well are around. We got snook out in the beaches. This is sea bass fishing on the beach, and this is some photos from my Fox 13 segment. It looks like here I'm waiting on the word from the president. They give me an earpiece and everything. A lot of see the earpiece. Pretty interesting. Definitely have it's a little bit different from doing live Facebook videos, being live on the news, but really cool. A great honor. My grandfather used to have a Fox 13 segment himself, so I'm this has kind of been one of my lifelong dreams to do what my grandfather used to do on Fox 13. So big shout out to Russell Rhodes at Fox 13 for helping me make sure, or helping me realize my dreams. And hopefully you guys can help us by supplying us with some inshore fishing photos to keep Fox 13 happy with our reports. So make sure if you catch a snook, trout, redfish, cobia, whatever, from the beach or from a pier or from a boat inshore, make sure you email it to me. Include your full name, what you caught it on, a little bit of information. You don't have to give away your secret spot, just a little bit of information, and we'll include you in that fishing report on Fox 13. So hopefully we'll get some good information from that. Now, my grandfather, I do want to show you this real quick. Someone asked about it before, if we have any of the old school videos from back in the day. If you Google sundowners, so one word, sundowners, Hubbard's Marina. If you Google that, you'll find this video. There it is. First video that popped up was the Sundowners video. This is on our Facebook page if you haven't watched it before. But this video,
so to make a living,
starts out with my grandfather back when he was on the Ernie Lee show on Fox 13. And this video is 20 minutes long. It has a lot of my grandfather in it, has a lot of my father, my cousin, a little bit of me in it as well, and a great 20-minute video. Don't watch it now. Finish watching the live show, but definitely check out that Sundowners video if you haven't watched it already. A lot of cool information in there, and some of that old footage from when my grandfather was on Fox 13, and now I'm getting a chance to do that myself. So really, really cool how it's gone full circle, and all thanks to you guys, because we couldn't do it without you, that's for sure. But before we go, or I guess we should watch the inshore report.
Hey, Brian, what's going on?
So let's hear from Brian, our inshore fishing guru, and he's going to fill us in on the inshore fishing report.
Hey, Brian, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much.
So how's the fishing?
Fishing's great right now.
I know inshore, I've been hearing a lot about these triple tail, snook, redfish, trout, pompano. What have you been seeing?
Yep. Well, I haven't done too much of the triple tail fishing. It's more of one of those niches that a lot of people have. I know they've been catching them up the bay, but that's about all I know about it.
Yeah.
As far as snook fishing, this is my favorite time right now is when they first start showing up on the beach. What I like to do is, there's some fish on the beach. I caught a nice 37 last week, and it was real dark, so you could tell it just moved out of that nasty dark water in the backwaters.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing though is going to flats and docks near the beach. Like all the docks near Paso Grill are awesome right now. The flats in Fort DeSoto, anywhere that's really close to the beach, the fish are staged.
Yeah.
And as far as like looking for the snook, what I like to do is you find a point where the mangrove sticks out, and a little bit of tide rips around there, and almost every time the snook will be staged right there.
Yeah.
And I've been getting them on real small baits, either mud minnows or little Z-Man. They have the mud minnow color.
Yeah.
And the bite's just been ridiculous.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So the fish are kind of staged up, getting ready to head onto the beach.
Yeah, there's a good amount on the beach right now, but there's a lot that are just about to get there at all the bridges and the docks leading up to the bridges.
Yeah,
So.
it seems like the smaller ones are what's kind of on the beach already.
Yeah, I've been catching a few. The big ones are loners right now, it seems like. You don't
Yeah.
really see them schooled up yet.
Okay.
Give it another 2 weeks of this weather, and it's just going to be, the fishing's going to be ridiculous out here.
Yeah.
So.
This weather is definitely starting to heat up. Water's
Yeah.
starting to heat up. We're getting into that summertime pattern.
Yeah, the other thing I've been seeing at a couple of the passes is big schools of redfish, the big bowls, but they'll move through on one tide every day, and that's the only time you see them. So they've been tough to catch. You just have to figure out that tide of when they're coming through.
What about the pompano? Have you been seeing any of those this
You know,
week?
I tried fishing for pompano twice this week, and I struck out, but there was a guy on the rocks that caught one while I was fishing. It seems like they've slowed down. There's still schools here and there, but I've always done better in April than May. So.
Yeah, in the summertime, they're a little bit fewer and further between.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely worth still throwing a pompano jig at, especially if you're out at the beach and the snook aren't biting. Throw a pompano jig, you'll pick up all sorts of stuff. I was throwing one last week over by Shell Key, and I picked up a lizard fish, and I was reeling it in about a 40-inch snook and golfed it.
What?
I had him on for about 10 seconds, but
That's awesome.
he didn't get the hook. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
little
fun.
small of a hook for a big bait.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things, watching a fish get eaten by a fish. Though it doesn't get any better than that.
Well, cool, man. How about the mackerel? You seen any of them?
The mackerel, I think they must have moved out because we picked up some small ones over at Blinds Pass last week, but those big ones I think have moved out for the most part. I haven't fished the Skyway area in a couple weeks, but as far as John's Pass, Blinds Pass, and this area goes, the mackerel have been pretty small.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I feel like that last blow a couple weeks ago kind of spread them out, and they
Yeah.
seem to start coming back. Hopefully they show back up for us before
Right.
they disappear.
Yep. And the redfish, this is normally the time of year I'm killing them. And I've been catching them, but more snook on the flats than anything. And I think that closure they just did on them for the redfish, I don't necessarily agree with all the closures, but the redfish I think need it, and it's going to be a good thing in the next few years.
Cool, man.
So, yep.
All right, Brian, you have a good day.
Yep, you too.
All right, so that was our inshore fishing report. A lot of you guys were asking about snook, redfish, trout. I was at the FWC meeting this past week in Tallahassee, and the FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife, voted to close redfish and snook for yet another year. So redfish and snook are closed to harvest until the end of May 2020. Trout have been open this year, but they've decided to add those to the closure list. So trout will be closed starting May 11th until the end of May 2020. So snook, trout, and redfish will be closed starting May 11th to the end of 2020. From now until May 11th, you can catch and keep trout if they're in the slot limit, but they are changing the slot and changing the bag limits a little bit on the trout as well. Now, we had a few people asking a lot of good questions during that video, so we're going to make sure that we share those, or we're going to make sure that we answer your videos, answer your question, towards the end of this video. So don't get discouraged there, guys. We'll definitely be answering all those questions here shortly. So don't worry. A lot of people were interested in those fishing reports. Keep in mind, our fishing reports are always emailed out. We email out our fishing report every Friday. And now that we're working with Fox 13, our fishing report has gotten incredibly more in-depth. So if you're interested in getting our fishing report, all you have to do is go to our website, hubbardsmarina.com. When you're on our website, scroll down to the bottom right-hand corner of the website, and you can sign up for that newsletter. All you have to do is enter your email there in that box and hit send, and you'll sign up for that email newsletter. Every week we send out a newsletter, and that email newsletter talks about upcoming events. It includes our inshore, nearshore, and offshore fishing report. It talks about what's going on with our local wildlife, what's going on out at the islands, and it includes a email coupon, which changes from time to time. Sometimes it's even discounts on trips, but that's mostly in our slower time of year. This time of year, a lot of times it's a free gift or a discounted product. So definitely join that email newsletter if you haven't already. We send those email fishing reports out every Friday morning. And we always remind you when we're doing our live show and stuff like that. So great way to stay connected with us through that email newsletter if you're not already connected. Also, we post our email newsletter to Saltstrong. If you're not familiar with Saltstrong, Saltstrong has a great fishing community. I spend a lot of time on Saltstrong. If you're a Saltstrong member, you can go to the community at Saltstrong's website and scroll down to the Tampa Bay region. And when you're on the Tampa Bay region, Saltstrong has actually created a Hubbard's Marina deep sea fishing group. And I posted that Sundowners video right to the top of it. And you can see our fishing reports. I post them right here. You can see how much information is in those fishing reports now. So our fishing report has grown quite a bit, and Saltstrong is a great way to stay up with it if you're not, if you don't want to sign up for that email newsletter. And the Saltstrong community is a killer place to learn more about fishing. We're going to have Joe and Luke Simons on the show one of these days to talk more about their fishing club. You guys will love that episode for sure. So stay tuned for that. And we have some fishing videos to show you. You like that big blackfin tuna from the 39 hour? Let's see them land it. How about that?
Color. I can't really tell yet. Definite color.
Dr. Tony doing work.
You got a pretty heavy leader on you.
He's kind of foul hooked or something. Booyah! Woo! With it!
Yeah.
Next with it!
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man.
Now that is how you gaff a fish. Hopefully Jason was watching. Here's some big mangroves from that 39 hour.
Nice fish, sir. Thanks. All right. I thought it was something bigger.
Catching
big.
so many
Yeah, I'm not
mangroves, they're
complaining.
littering the deck. Nice mangroves.
Midday
Yeah,
mangoes.
just hold him steady for a minute. Even with video, it'll.
Big mangrove. Look at the size of that thing. Those midday mangroves bit well for us on this recent 39 hour trip. Now, this is my favorite photo, or this is my favorite video from this 39 hour trip. Check out this video. This is Captain Garrett's youngest son, Reese.
Nice fish, sir. All right, man. Keep reeling. I believe it. You got a big one? Pretty big. Yeah, I'm
Almost up.
Keep reeling.
Keep reeling, Reese. Come on. No, it's not.
Oh,
You
I
got
got you, man.
Midday mangoes.
it. Come on. Faster. Faster.
Keep cranking. Oh, I see him. I see him. It's a double header.
2 fish.
2 fish.
2 razor fish.
Wow.
Get her from right behind you, go.
What do you think about that, Reese?
I got the flag.
A double header, baby.
And
All right.
ready.
I'll take those. I'll take those.
Stop.
Gotta love kids out there fishing. Nothing beats taking a kid fishing for sure. And Captain Garrett's sons definitely know how to fish, that's for sure. But that was our photos and videos from that 39-hour trip. I think it's time to give away a free fishing trip. We're going to give away a free 5-hour half day now. We're going to give away that 10-hour all day for 2 people as well. We're up to about 250 live viewers. We need about 50 more people watching the show, and we're going to give away a 39-hour fishing trip as well, guys. So make sure you share this video with your friends. Make sure you like the video, comment on the video. That way more people will tune into the video. Share it with your local fishing clubs. If we get up to 300 people watching this video stream, we're going to give away a free 39-hour fishing trip. So let's see who won a 5-hour half day for 2. Remember, if you win the free trip, you do have to shoot me a message either by email or the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page within an hour, and give me your full name, your home address, and your phone number, and we'll mail that free fishing trip out to your house. So let's see who won a free fishing trip with us at Hubbard's Marina. Drum roll, please. Mike McKenna. Hey, from Sarasota. Well, Mike McKenna, you just won a free 5-hour half day for 2 guests. That is a $110 value that you just won for watching the show, Mike. So congratulations on winning. And all you have to do is shoot our page a message and let me know your full home address, and we will send you out that free fishing trip, Mike. Now, keep in mind, guys, we still have a 10-hour all day for 2 people to give away as well, and that is a $180 value, absolutely free. So stay tuned, guys. We still got another free trip to give away. Now, we had a lot of cool questions being asked, and we're going to get into that now, too. One question we got was, how do I sign up for the Regulars Club? Some people were asking how much the Regulars Club is. So we're going to pull up the information on that for you guys so we can talk about it a little bit here. Hang on one second. Ugh. Good old burp there. Congrats. You're welcome. All right. So let's see here. Can you read that? I think you can read that. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Nope. Come on. There we go. All right. So this is our Regulars Club. We have 3 different Regulars Clubs for you guys to choose from. This is not a discount program. This is a loyalty program. So what that means is you sign up for the club and it gives you the ability to do more fishing trips at the same price that you were already doing. But keep in mind, guys, there is a minimum number of trips to qualify for the Regulars Club. The top level club requires 15 trips a year to qualify. So if you're doing 15 fishing trips in a year, you'd qualify to be able to sign up for this club. It's $275 to join plus tax. There is a first time sign up fee of $25, but it gives you 50% off on the 5 and 10 hour trips. So you do a half day for $27, an all day for $45, and it gives you 30% off our 12, 39, and 44-hour trips. So a really good discount. Plus you get some other options, and you get some other benefits as well, and you get discounts in our tackle shop. There's some other clubs like the Grouper Club, which only requires 10 trips a year. There's the Gray Snapper Club, which requires 5 trips a year. It is an individual club membership, so it works for you and you alone, but you can bring new guests out with you at your discounted rate in that loyalty program. If you want more information, email me at CAPT, so Captain abbreviated Hubbard at hubbardsmarina.com. You can see here's the retail prices of our trip, and here's the discount prices of the trip in that top level club. If you're doing more than 15 trips a year, you get some really good discounts. You save over $100 on a 39-hour fishing trip with us. And I can send you all that information, and we can talk more about it via phone. You can stop by the office. But in order to join the club, you do have to commit to doing a certain number of trips with us. If you don't meet those minimum number of trips, basically you wouldn't be allowed back into the club. So it's not necessarily a discount program. You don't get any special you still have to obey all the rules. You're actually held to a higher standard. You're supposed to know the rules because you go out fishing with us a lot. If you're sitting there thinking, why haven't I heard about this before? It's just simply not advertised. It's not in our brochure. It's not on our website. And there's a reason for it. It's a loyalty program. So once you come out with us a whole bunch, that's when you find out about the Regulars Club. A lot of times people find out about it from other regulars. People are like, hey, this guy's a cool dude, or hey, this lady is a really good angler. She might want to join. And that's how we kind of introduce people to the club for the most part. So one other question I saw was, is there any benefit to bringing frozen sardines? Keep in mind, guys, we provide all the thread fins for your trips. We have frozen thread fins and frozen squid on any trip, 10-hour trip, 10 hours or longer. And the frozen thread fin is very similar to a sardine. There's not much difference there. I personally like using the thread fin. The thread fin is a great bait, and I like trimming the belly and cutting the tail out, and that thread fin works really well. On our website, if you go to our website and click fishing trips, you can see on our fishing trips, under the fishing trips, the fishing tips and tricks page. On our fishing tips page, we have a lot of really cool videos, including some videos we did with Salt Strong, like how to catch hogfish. That's a 30-minute video with a ton of hogfish tricks. Mangrove snapper tricks. That's a 30-minute video with a lot of mangrove snapper tricks. And then there's a braided line versus mono, spinning reel versus conventional, how to tie a kingfish rig, how to rig the double snell. And in that how to rig a double snell, that's the video where we talk a lot about rigging a thread fin, and it actually makes it look like a sardine. So in my mind, there's not too much of a benefit of bringing sardines on most trips, but you never know. Fishing's one of those things. It's not an exact science. It's a lot like gambling. You never really know. And sometimes just having a bait that's a little different from your neighbor helps you catch a lot of fish. If everybody on the boat's using thread fins and you drop down a pinfish, typically you're going to get slammed. If everybody on the boat's using thread fins and you drop down a Boston mackerel or a cigar minnow or a sardine, it's a little different. Sometimes that'll give you the edge. So you never know. But as a general rule of thumb, I just use the thread fins. I don't bring out sardines or cigar minnows or anything like that. I use the bait we provide to you because the bait we provide to you works great. That's why we provide it. But sometimes it does give you a leg up when you're using something just a little bit different from everybody else. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question was, what kind of setup do I bring on the 12-hour extreme trip? On our website, again, under that fishing trips tab, you'll see all the different public party boat style trips we offer at Hubbard's Marina. And I personally built and wrote that website. So all the different web pages I personally wrote. So when you ask me what tackle I recommend for a certain trip, I literally just go on the website and copy and paste what I've already posted there. So that is a huge helpful tool for you guys. And right now, though, that 12-hour extreme is a little different. On the website, we talk a lot about that 80-pound test. Right now, we're using a little lighter tackle because right now that gag grouper isn't open, red snapper's not open. I'm using like 60-pound test and like 6 or 7-aught hooks. But if I'm dropping down a big bait for a scamp grouper or a red grouper, I'd still be using around 8-aught hooks, or 80-pound test with 7 or 8-aught hooks. But definitely want big tackle on that 12-hour extreme trip. There's a great video on the 12-hour extreme webpage talking a lot about the tackle and the setups that we recommend. Another question was about the difference between our 12-hour trips. If you go onto our website again, go onto our website and you click under fishing trips, you'll see all the different trips. But there's one page here called fishing trip information. When you click on the fishing trip information, that brings up this fishing trip info page, and it has a breakdown of all the different trips we offer, what their price is, how far out they fish, and how much fishing time they offer. And you'll notice here we have 3 different types of 12-hour trips. So this confuses people, and understandably so. We try to really try to make them different. They're in a list really from the least to the best. The 12-hour extreme is definitely unlike any other trip we offer. It's a split charter style trip. All the other trips on here, except for the 5-hour shark, all the other trips on here are party boat trips on a big party boat. That 12-hour extreme and that 5-hour shark, those are both trips that are on small private charter boats. So it's a split charter style trip. So that 12-hour extreme trip, we go out in the Flying Hub 2. You're fishing 70 to 100 miles. You get 7 to 8 hours fishing time. On this 12-hour night snapper trip, this is a night snapper trip. It's only on Friday nights, and that's specifically designed around mangrove snapper, vermilion snapper, lane snapper, yellowtail snapper. It's a great trip, but we only go about 25 to 35 miles out, and you only get about 6 to 8 hours fishing time because you're on a larger, slower party boat. But it's a great trip. It's great fun, and a lot of people do very well on those mangroves on that 12-hour night trip. Then you have the 12-hour day trip. This 12-hour day trip right here, guys, this is the same as this 5-hour half day. This 12-hour day trip is not a good option for red snapper, but it is our cheapest option for red snapper. So a lot of people end up on this 12-hour day trip. But if you want to catch a red snapper, the best trips to do are this is the 12-hour extreme, the 39-hour trip, or the 44-hour trip, because you're fishing 70 to 100 miles out on all 3 of these trips. You're a lot further from shore. On this 12-hour day trip, you're only 40 to 60 miles out, so you're really not that far out for red snapper, and you only really have about 4 to 6 hours fishing time, so you don't have a lot of fishing time for those red snapper either. So you're not as far out, you don't have as much fishing time. It gives you a chance at catching red snapper, but you don't have a really good shot at catching a whole pile of huge red snapper. So that is the main difference between our 12-hour trips. The 12-hour day trip is only offered in red snapper season, and basically what happens is all our 10-hour trips turn into those 12-hour day trips, and they're offered on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and that's the only time we have that 12-hour day trip because I don't really like it. We're running so deep, we're running so long on that party boat. People expect a crazy catch, and it's just not the trip to do it. If you want a crazy catch, do a 12-hour extreme, do a 39-hour trip. If you want a chance at a crazy catch, and sometimes we do catch monster fish, that 12-hour day trip is a great option. If you don't have the budget for the 12-hour extreme, you can't be gone all weekend on the 39-hour trip, that 12-hour day trip is a great option for you. But if you have the time, if you have the budget, do those other trips, the 12-hour extreme or the 39-hour. Another question we had was about deep drop trips. Do we have any deep drop trips this year? Yes, we have a ton of deep drop trips. We're running a deep water trip this weekend. We have a 63-hour trip coming up on the Mrs. Hub. That's a private charter for one of our close fishing friends. They scheduled on the Mrs. Hub. They're going out there, snowy grouper. We're going to be doing some swordfish, and we're going to be trolling around for some sailfish. Great fishing option. Also, the Flying Hub 1, we can do 15-hour day trips for deep drop fishing on the Flying Hub 1. We just spent about $5,000 getting the Flying Hub 1 dialed in with some new transducer, a new Garmin outlay machine, some really cool tools to make that Flying Hub 1 15-hour deep drop a great option for you guys. And if you split the cost of that 15-hour day trip for deep drop fishing, it's cheaper than doing a 63-hour trip, and you still have the same great chances at catching a lot of really good deep water fish. It only worked out to be around like $750 a person. So that trip's around like $2,600 or something like that for up to 4 people on a 15-hour deep drop on the Flying Hub 1. Another question was about John Martin and his 39-hour trips. John is our fishing coach. So when you go out on our 39-hour trip, not only do we have a captain and 2 crew members, but we also have John helping you out as well. He's kind of your fishing coach. So when the boat's not fishing, we're making a run between spots, he'll be happy to show you some tips or tricks or sit down with you and help you go over some techniques to help you catch more fish. You can even move up there and fish next to John, and John will show you how to catch them for sure. So John's been doing that 39-hour trip since the 60s. He doesn't look that old, but he's been around a long time, and he knows how to catch a lot of fish. So he's a great guy to talk to on that 39-hour trip. Another question was about hogfish. The hogfish bite definitely has slowed down overall. Hogfish bite really, really good beginning in like October, November, all the way through like March, April. They start to slow down as that water heats up. We catch hogfish all year round, but from late April, early May until like September, October, the hogfish bite is definitely pretty sporadic. In order to catch a lot of hogfish, you really need to do a private charter, and we need to target nothing but hogfish. And it is a little hit and miss for them. But the cooler months, those hogfish really seem to bite very well. December, January, February, into March, the hog fishing is awesome. And everybody should know our multitude of hogfish tips and tricks. We talk a lot about those in these live shows, but a 4/0 hook, 30-pound fluorocarbon, a super light knocker rig is a great way to target them with live shrimp, fiddler crabs, rock shrimp, sand fleas for bait, or you can use a naked ball jig tipped with shrimp, or you can use just simply a jig head with around a 3 or 4/0 hook and any of those baits. Live shrimp, live fiddler crabs, sand fleas, or rock shrimp are kind of my 4 go-tos when I'm targeting hogfish. Another question I saw was about red snapper season and when does it start, June 11th or June 1st. There is 2 different red snapper seasons for recreational anglers here in the state of Florida. You have the Florida FWC season, which is for private recreational anglers. So if you're on your own boat, if you're on your buddy's boat, if you're fishing privately, that is a private recreational red snapper season. That's from June 1st to like July, I don't know. It's 32 days. I think it's June 1st to July 12th. But if you're on a federally permitted for-hire vessel like a charter boat or party boat leaving from the state of Florida or any of the 5 Gulf states, you're under the federal for-hire recreational season, which is all the boats at Hubbard's Marina. So if you go on a trip with us at Hubbard's Marina, red snapper season opens June 1st and it runs until 12:01 a.m. August 2nd, meaning June 1st through the end of the day, August 1st, you can keep red snapper. Another question I saw is when is the best time to go for red snapper? Well, being as though that you can only harvest them in June and July and the first day of August, the best time to go for them is sometime during that time frame. But earlier in red snapper season, it does seem to kind of help. Towards the end of red snapper season, those fish have seen a ton of effort and a ton of hooking lines and a ton of baits, and they definitely start getting picked over. Towards the end of red snapper season, it gets a little bit tougher to catch a lot of really big red snapper. In the beginning of red snapper season, it's pretty idiot proof to catch a bunch of those red snapper. I always tell people, catch your red snapper, then start focusing on other fish. A lot of times you'll see guys want nothing but 20-pound red snapper, and then they end up not coming home with what they wanted because they're throwing away 10, 12, 15-pound red snapper expecting nothing but 20, 30 pounders. And you don't see a lot of multiple trophy fish for one person. The boat will catch multiple trophy fish, but be happy, catch your red snapper, then start focusing on other fish like those gag grouper or mangrove snapper or the multitude of other fish that we catch all year round. It's funny, red snapper season, we'll have people that used to fish with us all the time, but with the red snapper season, they only come out during red snapper season. And I just don't get it. Right now, we have 20, 25 people on these 39-hour trips, and we're catching piles of huge variety of fish that are all really good eating. In June and July, we'll have nice big piles of fish, but it's mostly red snapper, a few mangroves, a few gags, but the boat is sold out. It's wall-to-wall people. All our trips are full because everybody wants to go after those red snapper. In my opinion, any time other than red snapper season is a great time to go because you're not going to have a sold-out boat. You're going to have a lot more room. You're going to have a lot more time with the crew, a lot more one-on-one time. So if you're thinking about doing a trip during red snapper season, I'd recommend popping on a 39-hour trip before the end of May. That way you learn the boat, you learn the captain and crew, you learn more about the trip, you work out the bugs before you get on that red snapper trip where you have a ton more people on the boat and a lot less room and room for error, if you will. So plus this time of year you get the flat line, you can vertical jig, you can knock a rig, and during red snapper season you can't do any of that stuff because there's just the trip's sold out. You don't have that flexibility. Another question I saw was about our Bull Bay Hubbard's Marina rods. One person asked, do we have the spinning rods for our Bull Bay rods? Yes, we have spinning rods, we have jigging rods, we have conventional rods. We have a whole line of Hubbard's Marina Bull Bay custom rods made right here by Bull Bay Tackle, right in Lakeland. It's a family owned and operated business. They make quality products. Every rod and reel in my personal collection is now one of those custom Bull Bay rods, and I'm getting another big spinning reel. I'm thinking about doing a 39-hour trip coming up here at the end of the month before my kid is born. I want to get out on a 39-hour trip and do some fishing with Captain Joe, Garrett, and Brian. I'm going to pull this up here so you guys can see this. Great explanation. All right, so here is our back end reservation system. I'm going to show you this real quick. This is the month of May. Here's our 12-hour extreme trips. Most of these trips, 2 people, 10 people, 7 people. This trip has nobody on it. This trip has nobody on it. A lot of room on our 12-hour extreme trips this month. Our 39-hour trips, we've got 13 people on these Tuesday trips. We've got 30 people on this one. We got 20 people on this one. And then boom, the first one of red snapper season sold out. Look at red snapper season, guys. We got sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. 49, almost sold out. One person till sold out. So literally we have 13 people on trips in May where June all of a sudden it's sold out. So definitely, if you want to get out on a 39-hour trip, try one of these Tuesday 39-hour trips coming up. There's a ton of room on them, and I think if my wife allows, I think I'm going to definitely try to get on one of those, and we'll shoot an email out about that, so that way you guys have an opportunity to join me. We can hang out and talk fishing and kill some fish and do some flatlining and knocker rigging and whatever else we want to do, because there's going to be tons of room on the boat. Another question was on the 10-hour trips. What are we catching right now? We're catching some of those kingfish. We're catching some of those mackerel. We're catching a lot of the gray snapper or white grunts, porgies, and sea bass that we always see on our 5 and 10-hour trips. We're catching a couple red grouper, a hogfish here and there, some lane snapper, a couple vermilion snapper, and then we're seeing a large variety of fish. It kind of depends on the trip, but couple red grouper, couple hogfish, couple mangroves, and then a bunch of those gray snapper, porgy, sea bass. A 10-hour trip is like a half-day trip. It's just a little bit further, a little bit longer. It's not a specialty trip, so we're not getting out there to blue water to catch big, huge fish. But you have a chance at some big keeper grouper, and you have a chance at some nice mangroves. You have a chance at some lanes, hogfish, and maybe a king. But the 10-hour trip isn't one of those trips where you're going to catch that 39-hour or 12-hour extreme quality monster trophy fish. But you do have a chance at catching some keepers, but they're going to be keeper fish, you know. We like being brutally honest, and tonight we're being brutally honest with you guys. One question was how many 39-hour trips before June? We have a ton of 39-hour trips before June. We have 2 Tuesdays. We have a couple weekend trips. I think I counted 5 more 39-hour trips before June, so tons of opportunity. The reason why is Amberjack was supposed to be open for the month of May, so we were hoping a lot of people would be joining us for Amberjack. Unfortunately, Amberjack did not open for the month of May, so we have a lot of 39-hour trips with plenty of room on them for that reason. So hopefully you guys get a chance to join us for some of those and catch some fish. Again, don't forget about our Fox 13 show. That Fox 13 show is every Friday morning at 8:30. 8:30 in the morning. If you're not local, if you can't pull up Fox 13 on your TV, you can always watch that Fox 13 show live on their site. Another question we had was about our shark trip. Can we show any photos from our shark trip? And wanted to answer that question and show some photos from our shark trip. This was a big bull shark I caught last year on my shark trip. Well, I didn't catch it. I drove the boat, but the customers caught it. It was a monster. Nice fish. There's a nice big hammerhead we caught last year. Got up to the side of the boat. That was a big hammerhead. Took like 3.5 hours. And the girl that I had on the rod was just beasting this fish. Big hammerhead. That was the biggest one that I caught last year that the boat caught while I was the captain. It was a big old hammerhead. There was a nice shark, some Goliaths. We catch a lot of Goliaths on that shark trip as well. It's not all sharks, but we catch a lot of Goliath grouper too. And that night shark trip is $150. Here's some more shark photos because y'all requested it. We catch a lot of sharks. We see a lot of sharks on our 39-hour trip. This was a big bull shark that we caught on our shark trip. I don't like killing sharks. We don't really promote the killing of sharks. We try not to kill sharks, but if you catch a shark that's legal and in season and it's able to be harvested, we will do what the client asks. But this is what we like to do with sharks. We get them up to the side of the boat, we wrap the gaff around the line, and we pop that line as close to the mouth as we can, and we release them. But sometimes they are harvested, but it is not something we like to do. There's that big shark. It was a beast. I got death threats, literally death threats about catching that shark. We don't like doing it. Definitely don't promote it. And after that experience, all those shark photos that you saw of that dead shark, that was all the same shark. We literally have done that once in like the past 6 years, but I'm sure already in the comments that someone said something bad about it. We don't like doing it and we don't promote it. Typically our shark trip is a catch and release trophy shark trip. So you come up, you get a photo, you get a video. If it's small enough, we'll bring it in the boat and let you hold it, or take a picture next to it, as long as we can do that safely, or we'll pull it up to the side of the boat if it's too big, and you'll get some photos with it. But it's not one of those trips where you're going to come home with a set of jaws, because if you're not going to eat the fish, we're not going to kill it. And that big shark that we did kill ended up donating a lot of that meat to the local homeless shelter, and the customer ate a large portion of the shark. We wouldn't let him kill it unless he did agree to eat it, and we made sure of that. But it was just too much meat. No one person can eat that much meat, so we ended up donating a lot of it. I really wish I hadn't shown those photos. Another question was how much to rent tackle. We have tackle rental options on all of our trips. On our half-day trip, it's $7.50. On our 10 and 12-hour trips, it's $15. On our 39 and 44-hour trips, it's $25. When you pay to rent a rod and reel, that gives you a rod, reel, and all the tackle you need for the entire trip. And it really, really, really is a great option, because we give you the rod, reel, and all your tackle. If you bring your own rod and reel, you need to have your own tackle, and that tackle that you bring is going to match your specialty rods and reels. Our tackle will match our rental rods, and it works well for our rental rods. And our rental rods kind of our rental rods kind of do a little bit of everything well. It's not specialty tackle. So if you have a rod and reel for snapper, you have a rod and reel for grouper, you have a rod and reel for bigger fish, you have good specialty tackle. Bring that, and bring your own tackle. If you don't have any tackle and you need to rent a rod and reel, we have the rod rentals available, and we'll supply the tackle. But you get one rod and reel, and we supply different types of tackle depending on what kind of fish we're targeting, what fish we're doing. The one other question I saw was, what's your favorite type of main line? It kind of depends on my application. If I'm trolling, if I'm flatlining, if I'm vertical jigging, if I'm fishing for smaller, quick biting fish like snapper and deep water, I prefer using braided line. Again, trolling, vertical jigging, flatline fishing, or deep water snapper fishing, braided line is my go-to with a top shot. Always got to use a top shot. I use a smaller top shot when I'm trolling or when I'm vertical jigging. I use a longer top shot for bottom fishing. Now, for grouper fishing, for big amberjack, for big fish in deep water, I'm using monofilament. For deep drop, it's all braided line. Inshore, inside 100 foot of water, pretty much all monofilament. But braided line gives you more sensitivity, but it tangles easily and it doesn't have any shock absorption. So braided line causes you to lose fish. Unless you add a top shot, then you have a little bit of a shock absorber, and that prevents you from losing fish. What a top shot is it's basically a leader before the leader. So you tie monofilament to your braided line using a line-to-line knot, and you put a section of monofilament on top of that braided line, and then you put your egg sinker, your swivel, and your leader. That is a top shot. It's basically a leader before your leader. That gives you some shock absorption. That prevents you from getting tangled a lot, and it helps you land more fish successfully. But overall, simple answer, monofilament's the way to go unless you're vertical jigging, you're trolling, you're flatlining, or you're deep water snapper fishing over 100 foot of water. But primarily, I'm using monofilament, and during red snapper season, you must use monofilament. Or if you're using braided line, you must have a super long top shot. You cannot get away with using mostly braid during red snapper season, because there's more people on the boat. There's a possibility for tangling, and you do not want to get tangled with braid to mono, because we have to cut your braid. So you want to use longer top shots when there's more people around. That way you don't get tangled as much, and you don't get your line cut when you do get tangled. Because if someone catches a 25, 30-pound red snapper, it's going to tangle a couple people up. And if you have braided line, unfortunately, the only way to get braid untangled in most cases is to cut it. So a top shot means your mono is going to get tangled with other mono, and that can be undone. Unlike braided line where you just got to cut it. All right, so I think it's time to give away a free 10-hour all-day fishing trip to our next lucky winner. Keep in mind, guys, if you do not win, you can always tune in next week for another live stream show and have another chance to win. You can always join us at Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops event. The next one is May 18th. So May 18th, you can join us at Bass Pro Shops and get a chance to, or that's Bass Pro Shops at 2 p.m. May 18th, and that'll give you another chance to win free fishing trips. Because at Bass Pro, we always give away a 10-hour all day and a 5-hour half day. Both of those trips for 2 people, just like our live shows. So you have lots of chances to win free fishing trips with us. Also, don't forget about Fox 13. If you go out fishing with us and you catch a big fish, if you are fishing from the pier or your own boat and you catch a big fish, if you're fishing inshore and you see someone catch a big fish, whatever it is, share your photos with us. Message the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, but I'd prefer you email me. Again, CAPT, Captain abbreviated CAPT Hubbard at hubbardsmarina.com is my email. You can email me your photo, your fishing report information, your hometown, and we'll include that in the Fox 13 thing. And you could get on the news, and we'll share that and make you famous. So definitely shoot me your fishing report info and your photos, and we'll hopefully you can tune into Fox 13. If you are not local, if you can't watch Fox 13 on your TV, if you don't have cable like me, you can just Google Fox 13 News. You should probably Google Fox 13 News. And when you Google Fox 13 News, their website pops right up. When you're on their website, you can just click live, and that lets you watch the news live on their channel. So if you don't have cable like me, or you're not local and you can't watch the news, obviously you can't watch our local news if you're from up north. So you can watch those Friday fishing reports right there from their website as well. But let's see here. Who won a free 10-hour all day for 2? You guys want to find out? Let's find out. All right. All right. Drum roll, please. Let's see who won that 10-hour all day for 2. That's $180 value. Absolutely free. Vicky Mothershed from Ackworth, Georgia. Vicky from Georgia. Congratulations, Vicky. You have won a 10-hour all day for 2. Keep in mind, just shoot me a message to the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, and you can win that free 10-hour all day for 2 people. Now, we got up to about 250 live viewers. We didn't get to 300, but we're going to give away a 39-hour trip anyway for you guys sticking it out with me tonight. So we're going to give away a 39-hour trip right now. This is for one person, a free 39-hour trip for one person, and it cannot be used in red snapper season. But we're going to give away a free 39-hour trip right now. And you guys are lucky, because some people just bailed out because they thought the free trips were over. So for those of you who stayed in, you're going to get a chance to win a 39-hour trip. And all those people who bailed out after the free trips were over, they don't get a chance to. So let's see who won a 39-hour trip. A $369 value, absolutely free. Justin Carnes with Let's Go. Good job, Justin. Congrats. Thank you guys for watching. Justin, Vicky, Mike, if you want a free trip, message our page. Give me your home address. I'll send those out to you. Tune in next week for some more chances to win free fishing trips. Make sure you tune in every morning to the Hubbard's Marina Facebook or YouTube pages for our morning videos. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy, join us for one of those 39-hour trips before June. Join us for one of our 12-hour extremes or 12-hour night snappers or 5 or 10-hour trips. We hope to see you soon. We have plenty of private charter options too. You guys have a great night. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Always a pleasure hanging out with y'all.